The Shark Deck.
Hey, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. This one from the New York Post has cracked me up. I'll tie it back to comedy pretty quickly, but the Beacon Theater in New York City has put up a list of 20 items it forbids, including cowbells, hoverboards, bats, clubs, and clothes. Chris Distefano told the Post, "Clothing? I hope they have plastic covers for the seats. I have shows at Radio City and Madison Square Garden. We're allowing clothes and cowbells." He said the sign looks like it should be outside Rikers Island. I'm looking at the sign here on the New York Post website. I had to zone in. If you are curious, the prohibited items are weapons, aerosol cans, fireworks, mace, cameras, audio-visual recording devices, drones. You can't bring a drone into the Beacon, tripods, poles, outside food or beverages, alcohol, illegal substances, bats and clubs, beach balls, frisbees, hoverboards or skateboards, strollers, bottles, bags, clothing. It actually says clothing. I'm looking at it. It's an icon of like a t-shirt. Signs, banners, and flags, horns, and cowbells. No cowbell. A spokesperson for Madison Square Garden Entertainment Corporation, which owns the Beacon, thanked the Post for bringing it to their attention. A spokesperson said, "Wow, that was clearly a mistake. Clothing is definitely permitted." I love that story so much. Sam Morill was on the Creative Control podcast. Both those words start with the letter K, as you know. Sam was telling a story about joking with his parents. We had lunch, and I said to my parents, I really got into stand-up because I was kind of an F-up and thought it was an easy way to drink for free, and I like jokes. And then I realized how hard I had to work if I wanted to be a successful comic, and that really made it difficult. I didn't want to fail at this because I really love it. Sam said a guy he looked up to was John Mulaney. He was doing the road, and you would see him going up at some clubs, but he could also be an alternative room guy. He just had the chops to work anywhere. He was so young and honed and articulate and funny. He just felt like a pro, and to me, that was a cool look. I saw him at the Comedy Cellar one night right after I bombed a corporate event, and he's like, "Sam, how you been?" And I said, "Oh, I just ate it at this event." Mulaney said, "I hate that. Let's get a booth." And it's such a comic instinct. He saw that I was a little rattled and was just trying to make me laugh and be nice. And he's like genuinely nice. Sam was asked about the perception of Mulaney changing, the substance abuse and the divorce and all that. And Morill said, "I thought, get a life. What are you doing? I mean, they don't realize our bond as comedians just runs deep. So my instinct is to side with a comedian. Of course, there's cases like, look, I'm not going to have Bill Cosby drop in, but you don't understand that this bond runs deep. It's complicated. But also, Dave Chappelle's a great comedian. I don't understand. He may touch on topics you don't like, but this guy's a comedy legend whether you like it or not." Las Vegas Weekly talked to Tom Segura. Some of the dates on Segura's tour are called Tom Segura Trying New Material. And the Weekly was curious why he would advertise shows like that. Segura said, "I like people to know what they're going to. People like stand-up. I think it's fun. I've been doing things for the last month." And it's to say, this is a stage where you're not going to see somebody go up there and say, "I don't know what to talk about." It's the stage where the thing is taking form. And if you're a person who likes stand-up and you see it now and you see it later, you'll be like, "Oh, okay. In a year, it'll be super polished where you trim the fat." But the fun thing about the shows right now is I'll try something different. I'll try a different punchline Thursday, Friday, and Saturday because I'm figuring out what's the best for it. And I think for comedy fans, that's a fun thing to do. So I'm basically just informing the audience that you're going to see experiments in addition to things that are really working really well. The Press Enterprise asked Tracy Morgan about his newest material and does he ever notice things that he found funny before he no longer finds funny. Tracy said, "Absolutely. You're grown. You're not a child and you're seeing things from a different perspective. If you do the same things you did when you were 17 in your 50s, you've wasted 30 years. You have to grow. You see things like love, heartbreak, and all those other things that humans go through from a different perspective as you get older. I think of things in my own way. I smell things in my own way. I hear things in my own way. Everybody has a different way of seeing and hearing things. I express myself, and that's all I'm doing. Sense of humor is the highest form of intelligence on the planet. That's why God gave it to me. My sense of humor helped me get through my heartbreak, pain, and suffering. That helped me get through it. You'll cry if you don't laugh about it, and I'm done crying." Vulture was talking to Gary Gulman as part of that interview. Maria Bamford was there. They were talking about crowd work. I'll have a lot to say about crowd work on tomorrow's podcast. Gary Gulman said, "I know Maria Bamford said she admires crowd work. It's awful. It's so easy. And if I was in the audience and somebody asked me what I did for work, I'd stand up and scream, "What do you do for work? I came here to hear jokes that can be enjoyed as forms of art." Of course, there are 2 or 3 people who do it well, and the rest of them are just doing a photocopy of the people who do it well. Amen on that, Gary. Amen. I think they should give the audience their money back if they don't do any of the jokes that they pre-wrote. Also, crowd work is not that hard, and it's always men, and they do it 6 shows in a row, and they ask somebody what they do for work, and the person doesn't say something exciting, so they crap all over them for 5 minutes. There's nothing easier. Today is National Coffee Day. Great day to support the show. If you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. Since it's National Coffee Day, I will take your donation. I will go to the National Donuts chain. I will get a large iced coffee with caramel and skim milk. Doing a lot of running. This week's long run, a 19-miler. Ugh. And sometimes if I have the regular milk, I have a little trouble breathing till it clears my system. The skim milk's a little better. What I should actually get is an almond milk. You know what? I'm going to redo my order. Large iced coffee, caramel, almond milk. And then I won't have the breathing problems. National Coffee Day. Support the show. Buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. I will shout you out on the show, but not till next week because I already taped the weekend. I'm excited about a new project I'm working on. It is called Ghost Scary Stories Daily. We're doing 31 ghost stories in 31 days. It is a podcast, and you can check out Ghost Scary Stories Daily wherever you get your shows. Let's use it just for laughs on a Friday night. JFL Toronto, great festival. The 7 o'clock shows, Colin Quinn, Jess Tom, Second City, Jessica Curson, Sydney Washington, Graham K. 8 o'clock, Andrew Schultz, I Love Toronto, New Jokes Who Dis, Don't Tell Baba, Martina Brano, The Stupid Good Comedy Show, and Effin' Funny Fridays. I'm going to have to do some research on those. 8:30, The Women of Comedy. 9 o'clock, River Butcher, Catherine Cohen, Sam Morrison, Double Threat, Maddie Kelly, and Charles Haycock. Best of Absolute Comedy. 9:30, Rory Scovel, Geekly Squad Live. 10 o'clock, Joelle Nicole Johnson. 10:30, Your Hood's a Joke. 11 o'clock, Low Key. 11:30, After Hours. 11:59, Late Bad. What should we see tonight? Now, I've recorded out of sequence, so I know that in the future, I'm going to go like, hey, let's go see Colin Quinn. So it's 7 o'clock. You want to do Jessica Curson, or who's Graham K? An award-winning stand-up comedian, actor, and TV writer, Graham K has been described as sarcastic and brilliantly funny. Born and raised in Ottawa, Graham lives in Brooklyn. Let's go see Graham K. I like seeing something new. I feel like I have a handle on what Jessica does. 8 o'clock, I have a feeling tomorrow I'm going to tell you let's go see Andrew Schultz, so let's pick something else. Don't Tell Baba is a monthly queer comedy charity show hosted by 2 Arab immigrants featuring a mix of Toronto's top and upcoming stand-up comedians. All ticket sale profits go to local charities. 5 comedians plus the 2 hosts on the bill. And it's at the Tall Boys Craft Beer House. Let's do that. That's just different. Plus, we can grab some beverages. All right, that's the 8 o'clock show. 9 o'clock, I have a feeling in the future we're going to go see River Butcher. So let's do the Double Threat. And our 10 o'clock show will be Joelle Nicole Johnson. And then the late shows, as you've heard me say all week, I get tired, I'm going to bed. You can do a late show. Matteo Lane is at the Chicago Theater tonight. He warned his new husband, Rodrigo, about the show because it's the first time he's met Lane's family since they got married in August. And it's Rodrigo's first visit to Chicago. Lane says, Rodrigo says he's prepared, but I don't think he is. I'm so excited to show him the city, my school downtown, hit up my old haunts. I love Chicago so much. I need to live in New York because it's where I can do my best work, but Chicago's a special place. Matteo Lane says, I love comedians because they're just brutally honest. They just tell you to your face. You would think that would be such a harsh way of hearing things, but I think as a queer person growing up and being made fun of in high school, it's a very healing thing for me. I've never felt more connected in any community that I'm part of, Italian, gay, whatever. I'm the most connected with stand-up comedians. Chelsea Handler's Little Big Bitch Tour kicks off. New York City tonight and tomorrow, then D.C., Durham, L.A., a bunch of other places. She finishes up in Thackerville, Oklahoma on December 15th. And I hear my voice giving out. I recorded 4 episodes of 5 Good News Stories. That's a podcast I do where I tell you 5 stories, and they're all good news. I did 5 of those. I finished up the Live 1 show for the week, and then I recorded Thursday's podcast, Sunday's podcast, and now today's podcast back to back. Why'd you do Friday early, Chunny Mac? 19-miler training run that I mentioned earlier in the podcast. That takes, I don't know how fast you think I am. That takes 3+ hours, my friends. And then I'm kind of tired, so I recorded Friday a little early. Thank you for listening every day. This is a lot of fun for me to do. Tell a friend about it. Maybe they'll like it too. And you can follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. My voice is shot. See you tomorrow.